The month of October is the National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month. This is a really important topic that I'm going to spend time on in a few videos. This video is going to be talking about the shame that women experience after miscarriage specifically, because I think there are too many misconceptions and misperceptions about this topic, and I think they need to be debunked so we can fight the stigma together. Thanks for being here. I'm Lauren Acola. I'm your faithful therapist. So miscarriage happens for pregnancies 1 in 5 times. That's actually quite a bit if you think about it. It's not quite as high as the 1 in 4 people that experience mental illness throughout their life, but 1 in 5. That seems really high, doesn't it? And of course, nobody thinks that they're going to fall into that 1 in 5 or be that 1 in 5 statistic, but it's a common statistic. Yet, we don't talk about it enough. And I think the reason is there's stigma around it and there's shame around it. And this is what we need to debunk, because there is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of when going through a miscarriage. And that's true for the female going through it, as well as the partner, or spouse that's helping them through it. There should not be any shame, even if it's experienced and feels real. We need to kind of talk through that. I think people fall into kind of different categories of feeling shame around a miscarriage, and we're going to talk through those just briefly. I think the first is that we feel, especially as women, that we have to keep it a secret. One, if we're pregnant, up until a certain point, right? Most people are saying, okay, well, I'll tell people that I'm pregnant once I am out of the first trimester, because that's when you're at higher risk for a miscarriage. And that's everybody's personal decision. There's nothing right or wrong with that. But I think it kind of creates a kind of a secret holding of a pregnancy. So when a person goes through a miscarriage, if they haven't told anybody, and especially if it's, earlier on in the pregnancy, then there's even more of this, I didn't tell anybody I was pregnant, and I can't tell anybody that I'm going through a miscarriage because I didn't tell anybody I was pregnant. So there's kind of this notion of, well, it's a secret, and I have to keep it hidden. I think another piece that adds to the shame that women experience during miscarriage is feeling like it's their fault. Oh, I shouldn't have been eating that, or I shouldn't have been drinking that, or, oh gosh, I went through too much, strenuous exercise, and so that must have caused it. Or I was on a antibiotic medication that, probably terminated the pregnancy. Nope, not at all. And we can't blame our bodies for having miscarriages, because again, oftentimes they're not even explainable scientifically or medically. They're just something that happens. But internalizing that it's somehow our fault just complicates the situation, and again leads to a shame that we are in the wrong, and that should not be experienced. I think that similarly kind of adds to a shame of, my body isn't capable of being healthy, or my body isn't capable of having a successful pregnancy. And that's just really, bringing on that shame as well, because then we're not saying, oh, this was an accident. This was, it was an unfortunate loss. It's saying, no, my body's incapable of handling this. And usually that's not true either. So we just have to be careful of those pieces. I think some women also experience shame, feeling badly if there's relief after a miscarriage. And that's something that's probably not even talked about even more than having a miscarriage. Is maybe I wasn't ready for that, but now I feel bad because this baby's gone and I didn't really want it in the first place. And that's complicated on a whole nother level, but that's another aspect, of experiencing shame. And I think another complication of shame is that the outside world misconceives and again has those misperceptions on miscarriage as well. We hear not so sensitive comments sometimes, and that's going to be a whole nother video, so look for that. But that kind of contributes to it as well. Oh, your body wasn't ready to handle it just now, or oh, it was so the baby was only so many weeks, so at least you didn't quite fully know it. Again, I'll go through more of that in a later video, but it adds to the shame because it adds to the stigma. But we have to know that there is absolutely nothing to feel ashamed for after a miscarriage. And honestly, like symptoms, that are common, they look oftentimes, well, they are grief and loss symptoms, but those are all to be experienced as normal or expected, maybe is a better word. Women that go through, the baby was only, 6 weeks or 12 weeks. I shouldn't experience this many feelings. That's adding to the shame. And that's absolutely not true. Women that go through miscarriage are more than entitled to experience grief symptoms. And oftentimes they need to in order to process and heal the loss that just happened. So if a woman, or again, the partner, doesn't have to just be the female, it could be, the dad of the baby that was lost, or the grandparent of the baby that was lost, or sibling, that's a common one. The symptoms that you're going to experience might be, or, arguably are as real as if you lost a child that was fully grown. And that's something that, again, I think is just misunderstood. So the point is that if you're experiencing symptoms of grief, that is to be expected. And it says something about you going through the process of loss. And that, again, is healing. Because if you think about it in terms of our faith, and I've talked about this in some other capacity in another video, I don't remember which one. If we feel shame, then we internalize that there's something wrong about us, or that we're a bad person, or incapable of feeling God's love or forgiveness, things like that. But and in that, we tend to withdraw into the darkness. We withdraw into the secrecy of the situation, as opposed to what our faith calls us to do is shed light on it, bring it to the light, bring it to other people, ask for support, find a spiritual director or a counselor to talk through it with. If you're willing to, be open with family and friends, and you might find that they've gone through similar experiences. So we want to kind of counteract the kind of withdrawal into the secrecy of the shame by shedding light on it, so that, honestly, the devil can't tell us lies about how we should be feeling if we've gone through a miscarriage. So this video is heavy on the shame part. Again, more videos to follow on this because I think it's really important to help destigmatize this issue. So please stay tuned. Leave me comments though with what you think about shame and miscarriage, and again, the misperceptions and misconceptions that are out there, and let's debunk those together. So thanks for being here. Thanks for learning a little bit about miscarriage and shame. Be sure to follow me on my social media accounts on Instagram and Facebook, and subscribe here if you haven't already. All right, many blessings.